Welcome back, everybody, and we are here today to go over our scrambled egg bake. And the egg bake is used for a couple of things. One, it's used for catering events, just as an egg dish that people spoon out onto their plate. And we also use it to make our Eagle breakfast sandwich. And our Eagle breakfast sandwich is a biscuit with a piece of the scrambled egg bake on it. And it gets cut into squares and placed on the biscuit and then wrapped up in wax paper. So we're going to start today. Now when we make this in class, we are making again a monstrous batch that has 48 eggs. But we do not need that much for the demo, so I have scaled this all the way back to 12 eggs for the purpose of the demo. So the first thing we need is a half stick of butter melted. Now again, when you do this, you'll be doing 2 sticks. Alright? You always put things in glass or plastic, but usually glass containers for the microwave. Metal will start sparking, it'll create an arc, and it will destroy the microwave. So glass. So we're going to walk this over to the microwave. These are commercial microwaves, so they don't work quite like yours at home. They're much stronger, so they make the food cook it much faster. We're going to place this in here. Now, as butter gets hot, it explodes, and when it explodes, it covers all these walls with butter. So we want to avoid that, or else you'll be here cleaning it up. So we're going to start with 30 seconds, which will probably do the job. Now, if you look here, all you have to do is push the 3 for 30. You don't have to plug in 30 start. You just push 3, and it will start all by itself. Now, if you want to manually put in time, you may, but traditionally speaking, one of these times will be absolutely fine. So this is about at 20 seconds. I'm just going to check it to see how it's doing. And actually, it's melted just fine. So we're going to go ahead and stop it there. Okay. All right. The butter gets poured into our sheet pans for Javaccino, or for a catering event. But for this recipe, I'm pouring this right here into this pan. And I'm sure most of you can figure out what this is for. It's to keep it from sticking to the bottom of the pan. Again, this is a large amount of butter. This is a very rich recipe. Very delicious. Our egg sandwiches are a very big seller. Our students like them, our faculty, our teachers like them, and people like them at our catering events. Okay. The next thing we need to do is combine the salt, the pepper, and the dry mustard. And I've already done that for you. These are all dry ingredients. Now this is a savory dish, so you may measure it by sight if you're good at that, or you may practice measure it and then put it in here. Okay? But this is salt and pepper and dry mustard. The dry mustard is the yellow powder that's in there. Okay? All right. And we add that to the eggs. Now we need 12 eggs for this recipe. It is so easy to get shells in here because you are cracking. When you make this in class, you're making it for 40, you're cracking 48 eggs. And sometimes we make 2 pans, which means we're cracking 96 eggs. So we want to crack them in a separate bowl, just in case there's some shell in there, that we can get the shell out before we add it to the big mix. So that's our 12th egg. And I'm going to add our seasonings. Okay. And I'm going to start mixing. And I'm using a wire whip because that will incorporate air into the eggs and it will break the egg yolks for us. Okay. And we're not done mixing, so I don't have to get this perfect at this point in the game because we have many other ingredients to stir in. We need 1 cup of milk. That's also 8 ounces. I've pre-measured that in my glass measuring cup and checked it at eye level. Okay. So I'll go ahead and incorporate that into the mix. Okay. The sour cream. We need 8 ounces of sour cream. Now when you guys are making this in class, it's going to be a great big tub of sour cream, and you're going to You can either use a measuring cup, because 8 ounces is a cup as well of sour cream, or you may weigh it, which is really the quickest way, because you're going to need so much. Alright? But this is exactly 1 cup, and if you question that, you can read here on the label. It says there are 8 servings of 2 tablespoons. Okay, and 8 times 2 is 16 tablespoons, and we all know from culinary basics that there are 16 tablespoons in a cup. So you can always double check just to make sure. 8 ounces is not always 1 cup. It depends on the ingredient. 8 ounces is always a cup of a liquid. But if you're measuring something like marshmallows, 8 ounces is not a cup because it's not even close. It'll be a lot more. It'll be about 2.5, 3 cups. So I'm going to go ahead and stir in this sour cream. And this will take a little bit more stirring because it went in a big clump. So we'll get that all broken up. Now the sour cream is going to add a lot of richness to these eggs. You're not going to eat the sandwich and go, oh, I hate sour cream. Nobody will ever know it's there. But it does add a very nice subtle flavor and richness. Okay, next we need 6 ounces of crumbled bacon. We buy bacon bits from our food supplier in bulk. So I'm going to weigh this out so that we get our 6 ounces. So to review scaling, this is a battery operated scale, so we're going to turn it on and wait. It's going to come on, turn off, and then come back on. Now if it never comes back on, then we just need a new battery. Okay. All right, we need ounces, so you need to check that it is in ounces, and it is. If you need to change that, you just hit the mode button. Okay. And that's grams, and now we are back to pounds and ounces. I'm going to put my bowl up there, and it says 3.15. Well, if I just add my bacon to 6 ounces, I've only really got 2.85 ounces of bacon. We don't want to weigh the bowl. So I'm going to zero it out, and that's going to reset the scale to 0. And now I'm going to put some bacon in there. And this should be pretty close. There we go. There's our 6 ounces of bacon. So I will put that in there. And then I need 8 ounces of shredded cheddar. And if you see, this bag is exactly 8 ounces, so I can just add the entire bag. So I'm going to stir all of this up. Now this, I have made this several times for my family, for breakfast. Sometimes when we want to do a nice special breakfast, whether it's Valentine's Day or Christmas morning, the family loves it. And it's very easy because you can mix this the night before, pour it into your pan, and bake it the next day. So when you wake up on Christmas morning, I'm cooking, but I don't have to do all the prep work. That's already done for me. Okay. I'm going to pour that into my pan. And again, for Javaccino, we'll be pouring this into a sheet pan. And it will take 2 students to carry it to the oven because it's very heavy and very full. Okay. Now this bakes in the oven for about 20-25 minutes, depending on, sometimes ovens run a little hot or a little cool, but around 25 minutes until it is set in the middle, which will be the last part of this to cook. And when you shake it, it's not runny like this. So before I put this in the oven, I just want to show you how to set up the biscuits. The biscuits you use for Javaccino will be pre-made. For the sake of time, we buy them frozen, and they'll be in a big box, and you just grab them out and set them on here. So the process is almost identical it is to using these from Jewel. These are not frozen, these are refrigerator biscuits. Okay. But you will set these up on the tray. Now the biscuits only have to bake for about 15 minutes, so we'll put the eggs in first. But these can set just a little bit to get closer to room temperature. Now the biscuits we use for Javaccino are a little bit smaller than this, but we will fill an entire pan. We'll have probably 4 across and 7 down on each pan, and we'll have to bake about 100 biscuits. All right? I will be back when everything is baked to show you how to assemble. Okay, our eggs and our biscuits are done. Here's the egg dish. You notice it's completely firm, and then our biscuits are a nice golden brown. So I'm going to put on gloves since I'm going to be handling each one of these items in order to package them. All right. So different students will have different stations, but we need a student who is cutting biscuits open. Now when they cut them open, they need to make sure the top stays back on the bottom. Because if they just throw the pieces here, then some of our customers are going to end up with 2 tops and 2 bottoms. Alright? So you just go through and you slice all of those. Alright, so you would be slicing an entire pan. Then another student will be cutting these. And I personally like these dough cutters for cutting. Now we typically cut them about 3 inches by 3 inches. Okay? And I'm not going to cut the whole pan for this. But it's pretty close to a square. Now we have this border over here where you could put 2 on a sandwich if it works out. But in the big sheet pans, it works out pretty good. This is just a much smaller pan. Okay? So, since this has cooled a little bit, it holds its shape very nicely. If you try to get these out when they're right out of the oven, they just start falling apart because they're so hot. Okay? So they just go right on the biscuit, like so. Then a different person at a different station will be wrapping them. Now we will have pre-cut wax paper for you to wrap the sandwiches in, so you can just grab and wrap them. So that will make that job easy. So you put the sandwich on here, and we typically go corner to corner, diagonal. So that ends up right on the bottom. Fold the ends under, and there we go. We are ready to put this in our chafing dish for service at Javaccino.